Welcome to the She Built That podcast with Julie Nichols, where I interview female entrepreneurs about their journeys to business success. Today, my guest is Carmen Londono Alvarez, an incredible friend of mine and an independent insurance broker in the Chicago area with a full brokerage firm who specializes in employee benefits for small businesses. Carmen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yay! I've been looking forward to this episode for so long because Carmen is my girl. Like, what do you call me? You call me your homie. I think you call other people your homie, but like it makes me feel special when you call me your homie. So
I'm moving to home slice. How about that?
Home slice. Oh, is that an upgrade from homie?
Yes.
Am I all that and a bag of chips?
Yes.
Which, by the way, I have a bag of chips right here. Jimmy John's salt and vinegar, the best. Awesome. Well, Carmen, I'm so excited to have you. And I want first and foremost to talk about who you are. What is your business? Give us a little taste of who you are and what you do.
Ooh, how much time do you have?
You have less than 2 minutes. Ready, set, go.
Right. My name is Carmen. I own the Insurance Pros. It's a small brokerage firm, as you said. I do specialize in employee benefits. I started this business 6 years ago on the heels of another business that I walked away from, that I started 9 years prior to that, that I started and ran. Life happens, and I call it the explosion of my life. And I just redid the thing again. It's always easy somebody once said that they're good at, taking a wheel and spinning it fast. And that's always an easy thing when the wheel's built. So I built it again and I'm spinning it fast. So that's who I am. On the professional side. On the personal side, I'm a mom. I'm a Gigi, because I refuse to be grandma. Okay, I am Gigi. Hello.
What about mama?
No, ma'am. Can you imagine somebody called mama? I would die. No, ma'am. No, Gigi.
What about bubby? My mom's a bubby.
No, none of that.
Gigi, I like it. Okay, moving on.
But my grandkids always remind me, because my mom is still, very much here. They're like, that should be Gigi because it stands for great grandma. I said, yeah, no, she could be grandma.
Exactly.
Anyway, but yes, so those are all the things. And I have a full life, with amazing friends and family and a business. And I mean, what else can I do? What
Tell
else
me
is
more
there?
About your business. What do you do for people?
So again, it's a full brokerage firm. And what that means is, as a firm, we handle, employee benefits, life insurance, health insurance for individuals, home, auto, business, workman's comp. What makes my heart sing is the employee business space. And so that's what I focus on. I have a great team. But my primary focus is stepping into small, mid-sized businesses, kind of doing an audit, if you will, of the things they have, if they have them, and giving them strategies as to how they can best, save money, but also still keep the integrity of benefits for their employees and their crew. And for businesses that don't have this in place, I step in and show them all of the ways that they can provide these things and not have it break the bank all the time, right? Like, there are different strategies and different things that can be implemented to help mitigate some of those costs.
So I know the backstory of why you got into insurance, but I would like you to share that with our listeners because it's a really good story. So please tell us the story about your mom.
Yeah, thank you. I always say, no one, like, in career class. Remember in 4th and 5th grade, there was like career day, and like your fellow students brought in their parents. It was like a pilot or whatever, right? Like, I don't ever remember seeing an insurance broker come in. And if they did, I definitely wasn't paying attention. No one's jumping out of their seat to like run to that person and ask questions. That's a lie. Um, this is a business and an industry that typically people fall into out of necessity. Maybe it's a family business, or, by accident, and you kind of just stay there. Like, you were an intern, maybe you were a finance major, and that's what you were doing for your internship. And then you just kind of like continued the path. And for me, it was a little bit of the necessity and accident. I was working at a firm. Prior to that, I'll never forget my last child, Nadia. I was put on bed rest. I had a very difficult pregnancy, and I was going out of my mind on bed rest. So I had to find a job, and I found a at-home job back in the day when it wasn't even a thing, because Nadia's 18 years old now, right?
Okay.
And it was to do like appointment setting for this broker. And I did that. And after I had Nadia, he allowed me to bring her to work, like very progressive. And I'll never forget, though, this guy was like super eccentric and weird and crazed, but was doing amazing things in his small firm. And I remember thinking to myself, if he could do this, you know what I mean? But I still wasn't really leaning in. And then from there, I went and I worked at a firm called the Northwestern Financial. And I remember I was working there for some time, and, I was finishing up school. And my mom at that time was getting ready to retire. And she had asked me to come with her to the meetings where they were going to kind of establish the rules, if you will, or what the process looked like for folks who were on track to kind of retire in the next couple of years. And so it was a meeting talking about Medicare. If you retired pre-65, what insurance looks like, and then like the pension. And then there was the last meeting of the session, which was for 401k. And I was like, we still have one more thing to do. And she just looked over at me and she was like, I didn't participate in the 401k. And I was just completely just shocked. My mom was, in my eyes, such a smart woman. She, came here as an immigrant. My dad and her divorced when I was like 10, and she just kept doing her thing as a very single mom, raised 3 kids, got us through school, was able to purchase, her home. And I just thought she was so smart and always so savvy. And I'm like, how did you miss this? And her response to me was, I didn't understand it. And all they said was, this is a great way to save money. And I didn't need people to help me save money. Like, this was her reasoning. And it took me back in memory, in regards to memories. Like, I remember when you're the oldest child in an immigrant household, you are the translator in chief. Okay. And so you go to these places, whatever it is, and you ask the questions, and your mom or dad, say, can you say this or that? And I remember, being in those spaces and feeling uncomfortable and feeling ashamed and feeling embarrassed, right? Because you're a kid and you're like, oh my God, Mom, can't you understand? And I also remember her making herself smaller sometimes, not asking questions, or just, okay, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. I'll figure it out. And it really broke my heart, right? Like, not that I'm beating my 10-year-old self up, but just understanding in that moment how many times people, immigrant or not, just not wanting to feel dumb or not wanting to feel, like a burden, not asking questions, not asking enough questions, not asking all of the questions, not knowing what questions to ask. And it all comes down to education, and also understanding that some people that come from countries where these things are not regulated, these are not things that are even really offered, or at least back then. Maybe now, sure, everybody's with the times, but it's such a loss. And so when we talk about generational wealth gaps, whether it's in Black and brown families, whether it's in single parent home families, it always comes down to lack of information. It really does. 9 times out of 10, it's, I didn't understand. I didn't participate. I I couldn't afford it, not, and them not understanding this is a pre-tax benefit. You might have not even felt it that much. There would have been a match. I mean, this woman worked 27 years in this setting. Can you
She left
imagine?
so much money on the table.
So much money. And I remember going back home with her, and that weekend, we did like an assessment to kind of see like, okay, well, what does it look like? The fixed income with the pension, because they give you a breakout. Like if you retire on this year, this is how much you'll get this year. And she ended up staying another 3 years to try to make up for the shortfall that we could see that might happen. And, but then look at 2025, the inflation, like nobody accounted for this, right? And so, it's sad, but it also gave me purpose. It also made me realize in that moment, okay, I'm in this space. What do I want to do? Because I definitely was in that place where I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I mean, sometimes I still don't know what I want to be when I grew up. But,
Right?
I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. And that was 100% always on my mind and my heart. And that's how I move.
So tell me how this then translates to how you work with your clients, like all of this experience that you had with your mom and her not having the education. How do you then treat your clients with that in mind?
And to be clear, I do not work in the 401k space, right? This was just an example of a benefit that could have been explained, better to her, to people, not just her. When I step into small businesses and mid-sized businesses and I ask the questions that need to be asked, my number one thing when I am working with their employees or even individuals is, do you understand how this works? Do you understand? And when I'm taking an intake form and I'm talking to an individual, for instance, my first question is always like, what is it that you are looking for out of your insurance? Some people are like, I just want something catastrophic. That's fine. What hospital, what network, those things are important, but then also, what do you understand how this policy works, right? Because sometimes I think we have this saying in Puerto Rico, lo barato sale caro. And it basically loosely translates as, when you are looking for the least expensive thing, it oftentimes becomes the most expensive thing, in the
Get what
long
you
run.
pay for.
Basically, yes. Basically, you get what you pay for. And you don't realize that until it's needed. Insurance is not something tangible. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. You can't taste it. But you can feel it when you don't have what you need in place. And by that time, it's usually too late. Whether we're talking about you just got liability only on a car and you just wrecked it, and now you are left without a car, or whatever, right? And so that's always my number one priority is, do you understand this? And I break it down. And when it comes to like employee benefits, for instance, and I work with a lot of small and mid-sized businesses. And one thing that I've noticed is that when they come to me and show me what it is that they had prior to show their employees what benefits were offered. And it's not enough. It's not, you shouldn't just be giving them a 1-page flyer. Let's put together a small benefit guide. Let me record a webinar going over this guide for you and your crew and your incoming team. First of all, it mitigates people constantly coming to me with questions because the data information is there, right? So it's a way to help people not only educate themselves, but have this information always on hand. But also, it allows for people to really break down information the way it's useful to them. Not everybody learns by hearing things. Some people need to see things. Some people need, that visual, and they need to read. And so I really try to provide all of those things. And for sure, I think that comes from being a parent, right? Like we see how our kids need different things in order to be able to thrive and move forward and make good decisions. And even if my client or, decides I still don't want it, that's fine. But at least I know that I did all of the things I had to do to make sure that they understood the what and the where and the how, as well as the why, right?
Yeah. I mean, making it equitable so that
Yes.
people can understand at their level and you even the playing field for
Correct.
people. That's so incredible. So I want to know about balancing running your business and your personal life, because I know personally that, you as a Gigi and you have, several minions living in your home, and your responsibilities as a caretaker have extended further than you anticipated they would. And I want to hear about, we've talked in previous episodes about how there really isn't no such thing as balance. It's basically like, kind of like adjusting your expectations
Mhm.
and just kind of figuring out how to make it all work, but there's always things that don't work, and just kind of how you push through those things or how you manage. I'd love to hear more about that, trying to achieve that balance.
Um, Painfully, slowly. That's how I achieve that balance. You know what? We can have it all. We just can't have it all at the same time.
Ugh,
I mean,
that's so true.
it's 100% true. There's only so many hours in the day. And people ask me all the time, like, how are you doing all of this? I'm sure you get those questions, because I know you are constantly, and sometimes not well is my answer. Sometimes the laundry doesn't get folded and you're just going to have to rummage through clean laundry. Like you're going to have to rummage for the underwear. You
But
know
it's
what I mean?
clean,
It's clean,
but it's wrinkled,
you
and it's in a
know?
basket.
Right.
It hasn't made it in those dressers.
100%. And, sometimes you are going to eat box mac and cheese. Although,
Ooh,
even to me, that is,
wouldn't want to eat that though. I don't know. I mean, like, especially the craft spirals. That's like my favorite.
in order for me to function, I definitely have to do a to do list the day prior for all, and then catalog them as to what is more important for the business side and then for the personal side. And sometimes things don't get done and they roll on to the next day, but eventually it does, and hopefully well, but not always well. And that just giving yourself grace. I have to give myself grace all the time. I thought my journey of child rearing was over, and that is not my reality right now. Um, so it's been a hard reset button. Um, a lot of it is hard, but it's it's all done with joy. It really is. And you just got to lean in to the tribe that you do have, whether it's your networking tribe, your friends. Sometimes you just need a moment to vent, and sometimes you just need to like doom scroll, and that's okay too.
Well, there's
Um
plenty to doom scroll
a
about these days. So,
100%, like you
and
can't.
often I have to block myself from that because it's just too much.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So that, the balancing thing, it's hard, it's necessary, but at the end of the day, like as long as nobody dies, you know, we're just gonna
Are
keep
they
on keeping
breathing?
on. 100, yeah, for sure, for sure. I think that you have to give yourself some hard boundaries and limits also, especially for small business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneur, whatever you want to call yourself, working from home. You have to like put things in a box or else it will drive you mad. And, I've had moments of panic when I wake up at 3 in the morning. Oh my God, did I email that person back? And it's like, stop. I did all of the things. And so organization is key for sure, but things still fall through the cracks. It
Just,
happens.
I have little listeners may know that I have Post-its all over my
Yeah.
desk. And this is one of my favorite ones: protect your time.
Yeah.
This is the one is always at the forefront of my desk so that I can look at it regularly because I suck at protecting my time. And it's a skill I've had to learn over time of how to say no to opportunities that aren't the right fit at the moment. And that might even just be somebody saying, "Oh, I just met you at a networking event. Can we go out and have coffee?" That may be a great person and it may be a great coffee, but that's going to be like probably end to end an hour and a half out of my day when my kids are only out of the house from like 8ish to 3:30.
Right.
And so then my workday has then just decreased to like, 5.5 hours because I'm going to go out for coffee with this person and having to make those hard choices, but without insulting people because they can't have some of your time. And something that a close friend of mine has done recently to kind of manage that is, if certain people want to meet with her and get to know her, she'll host like larger group events where people have the opportunity to all come and get to know her better, but she's not meeting with people like one-on-one all the time. So then that it's more of like a party and like that kind of stuff, like doing those little different, like those, I feel like it just makes a difference figuring out like how to manage your time, which is for me always the biggest struggle. I always am just like, yeah, I just ran out of time. But then there gets to be a point at the end of the day where it's like, I just have to stop
Yeah.
because I have to switch gears. I have to spend time with my children. I have to make us, a halfway decent meal.
Right.
And every day it doesn't have to be a nutritious meal, but
Right.
I would say like 50% of them
Right.
nutritious. I mean, there's vegetables. If there's vegetables, that counts, right? That's a nutritious meal.
100%. No, I love cooking and it is, I mean, I really love cooking and it is therapeutic for me. And I definitely will say that I probably cook 5 to 6 days a week for the
Wow.
most part. However, when it's my busy season, which is usually Q4, I will 100% go to Costco and stock up on like those ready-made mac and cheese things or like chicken Alfredo or whatever the hell, because a good 2, 3 days out of the week, that's what's happening. Period. End of story. Or girl dinner in general. Like here's a
Girl
charcuterie
dinner.
board. Have fun. All right. So, for sure, you know, it ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows. And that's
Yeah.
really what it boils down to. I think that we don't talk enough as business owners, as women business owners, who, for the most part, are the main caretakers of our family in all of the ways. Like the mental load, right? Like it's not just the working and the dinner and the thing. It's like also the doctor's appointments, the dentist appointments, the school physicals, the school games, all of those things that we have to take care of. And by the way, I haven't even mentioned the moments of crisis that we go in our lives, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a family drama situation, whether it's a death of a friend or a family or somebody being sick and like another mental, like, you know what I mean? But we still have to show up, Julie. We still have to smile. We still have to network. We still have to shake hands and kiss ugly babies and do all of the things. And right. And we still have to, entice people to like come to the table. Like we still have to sell. Like at the end of the
Yep.
day, that's, you're in business, you're selling, whether it's yourself, a product, it doesn't matter.
The show must go on.
And you got to show up with clean clothes and face full of makeup, whatever. Like all of the things still have to get done. And somehow they are. And I don't think we talk enough about that and how exhausting it can be. And sometimes painful and lonely because, you don't want to just walk around talking about like all of the things that are going wrong, because at the end of the day, there's so many things going right too. And, just kind of balance is always key. Balance, gratitude, as well as just giving way more than you're taking, so.
Well, this has been such an incredible conversation, and I want to give you a moment to tell our listeners how we can find you on the interwebs.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I have an Instagram, according to Carmen, is my handle, but also the Insurance Pros, or actually Insure Pros is the handle for my business. I'm on Facebook. You can find me there, the Insurance Pros, as well as my personal. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm sure you're going to provide those links. And
I will put all these in the show notes. And
Thank
I'd
you.
like what's your web address?
It's www.insurepros.net. And I also just started a Substack that I'm kind of excited
Tell
for.
us about your Substack. What are you writing about?
So According to Carmen is basically life according to me, a little bit of pop culture opinions. I think you and I talked about an issue, how I feel about certain things happening in the US of A. And I share some recipes and talk about food a lot and my travels. And then I will be starting one for the Insurance Pros that's really going to do deep dives on all things insurance and tips and tricks, and just kind of how people can weather these storms of increases, and how they can best utilize their insurance for themselves, as well as still not break the bank.
That's awesome. Well, Carmen, thank you so much for joining us and being so open and sharing your story. And I'm sure there's going to be more than one person who's going to take away something from this conversation. So thank you for being so open and honest. I appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us today on She Built That podcast with Julie Nichols. I'm Julie Nichols. I am owner of Julie Nichols Marketing. I do small business marketing for everyday folks like you. You can visit my website at julienicholsmarketing.com. That's Nichols, Nichols, marketing.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn and Insta and TikTok and all the channels, you guys. I'm everywhere. I'm all over the place. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.